please.
Good afternoon. We'd like to bring the State Board of Education board meeting to order. We welcome everyone who's in attendance with us this afternoon. Please be reminded that we'd like for you to turn off your cell phones and any other electronic devices. Also, would like to remind board members and any other speakers to speak into the microphone so that the recorder will pick up the sound for the purpose of minutes. And this is critical to ensure that the minutes can be transcribed without leaving out any important information. At this time, we welcome and would like to extend thanks to the Batesburg-Leesville High School JROTC from Lexington County School District 3, and they are accompanied by Colonel Jonathan Robinson. They will be posting our colors.
Left. March. Mark time. Mark. Colors. Halt. Center. Face. Present. Arms.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Colors. Post. Post. Colors. Right. Face. Forward. March.
I think you might have a couple of parents from B&L here also. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. No.
Again, we want to say thank you to Batesburg-Leesville High School JROTC and Colonel Jonathan Robinson. Do we have any parents of those students?
Maybe staff maybe staff.
Any faculty or staff from Batesburg-Leesville visiting with us today? Please stand. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We will now move on to the approval of our minutes. Is there any objection to approving the minutes as presented? Hearing none, the minutes are approved by unanimous consent. Any objection to approving the agenda as presented? Hearing none, the agenda is approved by unanimous consent. We'd like to recognize any visitors and media that we may have with us. We do have one person signed up for public comment. That would be Zachariah Lowe. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you here? I just want to be sure you're present. You're also, okay, just want to make sure you were still here. Thank you so much, sir. We will now hear from our, well, there's no chair report, that's for me. But we do have the person that you do want to hear from, our Superintendent of Education, Ms. Spearman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I would like to recognize, I know Zachariah is going to come up in a minute and give some comments, but we have a large group visiting from Sumter County School District, the Teachers of the Year from the schools in Sumter County. Would y'all stand and be recognized? Wow. Wonderful. Thank you for coming, and we look forward to Zach's comments in just a minute. For those of you who are visiting here at the meeting, I hope you noticed a new quality. Last month, I thought my eyes were going blurry because our cameras were not working well and the screens were kind of blurry. We've got new equipment, so smile pretty when you're on the camera today. And I hope the public who are watching online see a change in upgrade in the quality there. So we're very pleased. Lots has happened since we met last month. One of the most important things was a visit from the top education official in the United States, Secretary Betsy DeVos. Office called us, along with Congressman Tom Rice, to say, we want to come to South Carolina, and we want to go see the work that you're doing in Timmonsville, Florence District 4. So we were happy to have the Secretary of Education and her Undersecretary, Mick Zais, was with her, as well as a number of their staff, Congressman Rice, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evett also toured the day. This picture that you're looking at is a classroom of students at Brockington Elementary, to remind you, which was the lowest performing elementary school in the state of South Carolina 3 years ago. It is now not on the priority RCSI list. Tremendous progress in that school, thanks to the work of lots of folks there at the school, the principals, teachers, parents, students, and our own staff in the Office of School Transformation and other offices that have helped out. It was an incredible day. We toured the school, both Brockington, the middle school and the high school, and then we went over to the manufacturing center in Florence with the technical college on the technical college campus, and also had a meeting with teachers from across South Carolina, and they were, as usual, so well spoken, and really we had a great conversation with the secretary. So it was a wonderful day, and we really appreciate her coming and seeing the good work that we're doing in South Carolina, and actually got a personal note from her that I read this morning, again congratulating us on the progress that we're making, and due to the hard decisions that we have to make and that you all have supported me in, so I really appreciate that. So it's where in South Carolina, where in the state is Molly Spearman this week? Because we're all about announcing our 5 finalists for the South 2020 State Teacher of the Year. Yesterday, we had the privilege of going into the classroom of Shonda Jefferson in J.R. Green's district. I hope he'll be able to join us shortly in Fairfield County Schools. She is an incredible teacher, a biology teacher, and her story is just remarkable. I was sharing it with some. She's the daughter of a single mom who did not have a high school diploma, but she gave her daughter a microscope when she was a little girl, and they played in the yard and looked at bugs and leaves and all kinds of things, to the point that she wanted to be a doctor. And once she started in the medical school, she met some students and worked with them in a project and realized her gift was teaching. So she is a fantastic biology teacher there at Fairfield Central High School. She's named our first finalist. This morning, we were in Richland District 2 at Blythewood High School. Another great story, Mrs. Sue Wims, who is an English teacher in her 4th year at Blythewood High School, the wife of a Navy guy who is deployed on a ship to Korea as we speak. And she and her family decided they loved South Carolina so much that she would stay here while he was deployed, and her children are graduating. 3 of her 4 children will be graduates of Blythewood High School. She had wonderful things to say about teaching, about being a military spouse, and also Richland 2 and Blythewood High School. So we'll be 3 more places this week. So next month when you come back, you'll hear about the other 3, but I can't tell you yet. I did have to take a serious action a few days ago, in announcing a fiscal emergency in the Sumter County School District. You may remember that Sumter was one of the first districts that was placed on fiscal watch due to a very, very low fund balance. When we first got the authority to do so, they moved to fiscal watch because to fiscal caution, thank you, Kathy, due to an investigation that was going on there. they had to work with us and present a plan for financial recovery. The district needs to have at least $12 million in its fund balance to have 1 month's reserve. At the time we had to declare the first step, they had a little over $100,000. They've made remarkable progress under the leadership of Dr. Debbie Ham, who was serving there as interim superintendent, well on their way. In fact, their financial recovery plan had them at $10 million in reserve by the end of this school year, which is really in 2 years' time to make that kind of progress. Part of their plan involved closing some small schools and consolidating them. They did that this year, and then after an election, some new members came in on the board, and the board reversed its decision to close those schools or consolidate those schools and reopen them this next school year, which is contrary to their financial progress plan. I declared the fiscal emergency. They have their right to appeal, which the board has voted to do that. And I'm sure Ms. Hazelwood would let us know. I suspect that might be at your next board meeting or sooner, that hearing is going to happen. So you will hear all the details, both sides, and then have to make a decision whether you uphold this fiscal emergency or not. So that will be forthcoming. Another huge thing that has been going on across the street is the education reform legislation known as the South Carolina Career Opportunity and Access for All Act. I did participate in a press conference with Governor McMaster, Lieutenant Governor Evett, and Speaker Lucas, as well as Senator Hembury and other legislators. We do need this education reform package. It is comprehensive. It is not the end-all because there's additional work that will have to be done next year in a funding formula reform. We anticipate hearing the plans for that, the groundwork for that in May. The bill passed the House last week. It's now being debated on the Senate side. The Senate is taking a little different approach, a little more comprehensive hearings. They're breaking it down by about 20 pages. They've held a number of hearings. We sent a list of amendments to the House. They adopted many of those. A few were not. We're taking those to the Senate now. So the bill, in my view, is in better shape than it was. We're more supportive of all details of it than we were when it first began, and we still have a few things we'd like to work on. But overall, I still stand firmly behind the legislation, that this is legislation that we need to pass, and we need to just work together to get it to a spot where we can be really, really pleased with it. So I'm thrilled with that. Emily Heatwall is not with us today. She's over at the State House where they are addressing this legislation on the Senate side, but also the budget is up for review in the House. It's on the House floor. So a lot going on over at State House. And that completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Spearman. Which brings us now to our public comment. And again, we have with us Zachariah Lowe, representing Sumter School District Teacher Forum.
Hello, Superintendent Spearman and State Board members. Thank you so much for having me and having our teacher forum here today. Just wanted to take a couple moments just to tell you a bit about why we're here today. I don't have anything prepared, so I'm going to kind of go off the cuff here with my comments. But
Mr. Lowe, just so these are public comments, so we're going to be accepting your comments for information, and we're going to give you 5 minutes for your presentation, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm not going to need 5 minutes anyway. But our teacher forum is a group of about 50 or so teachers of the year. It includes our current teachers of the year from each of our schools and also our immediate past teachers of the year from each of our schools. And we do work from political advocacy, which is kind of why we're here today. We spent the morning up at the State House interacting with our legislators, hearing a little bit about their budget debate this week, and now we're here as well. And this is, I believe, the first time that most of us have been to a State Board of Education meeting, so it's been very eye-opening so far. And again, thank you so much for having us. But we also do some community service work. We do some fundraising. Later in the month of April, we'll be awarding about $5,000 worth of scholarships to future teachers that are graduating from Sumter County schools. So this is just one small piece of a little bit about what we do with our teacher forum. But if I can have them stand up real quick, just one more time, please. I'd also like to thank the folks at Palmetto State Teachers Association as well, Craig King in particular, for coordinating our visit today as well. But we are proud to be Sumter teachers. We're excited to be here, and just want to thank you all so much for what you do each and every day. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If I may, you may recognize Mr. Lowe. He's a celebrity. Zachariah was is one of our honor roll teachers and was a finalist last year for the South Carolina State Teacher of the Year. So he's a remarkable teacher himself, so congratulations.
Thank you. Very good. All right, moving forward, we have our state board items and our committee reports. We'll begin with policy and legislative. And today we had 5 action items to come before this committee. 2 that were policy, waivers that we had not addressed before, but we attended to those. Those items were placed on the consent agenda, and I think every board member should have those before you. We did receive 1 item for information, but at the time we didn't have any specific district waiver update requests at that time. So that was the report from policy and legislative. From educated profession, Dr. Gamble could not be with us today, so I chaired her committee as well, so I'll give that report as well. There were 4 action items that came before educated professions, specifically relating to alternative certification providers and programs, and then we also had some for information. Then a report on individual certified areas as far as the American Board. We also had some, they provided some good information on the American Board as far as where they are in the state and what opportunities they are providing for teachers and the alternative route for certification. If anyone has any questions, as HIP is on standby, if any committee members have any questions regarding what was presented in educated profession. No questions? Okay, if so, we'll move on to our next committee report. Coming from, scroll down, Standards, Learning, and Accountability, and the chair recognizes Dr. Downs.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Our committee this morning, we had no action items, nor did we have any consent agenda items, but we did have a presentation for information presented to us by Ms. Stephanie DeStasio. She's the director of the Office of Personalized Learning, and she addressed with us students at the center, how South Carolina schools are making learning personal. And she is here to present that information to us, and I think she's here.
Thank you. So as we spoke this morning in our Standards and Learning Committee, one of the things that's happening with the Office of Personalized Learning that we wanted to just bring you up to speed and to date around are just some of the work that we're currently doing. And so we talked first about the framework for personalized learning that South Carolina has. Thank you so much for that. And in the South Carolina Personalized Learning Framework, one of the things we wanted to point out with this is at the very center of our framework for personalized learning in South Carolina, we have the profile of the South Carolina graduate. It is at the center, and it is the heart of all that we do. The other areas of the framework for personalized learning, the profiles, pathways, and flexible learning environments are surrounded by student ownership or student agency. And this framework is what we're using in South Carolina as we work with schools and districts for professional learning opportunities. As a lens through which we can approach this work. South Carolina is unique in the nation in the way that we are approaching this work, the fact that we have an Office of Personalized Learning and that we have a framework specific to South Carolina that's research-based and tied directly to our profile of the South Carolina graduate. And so we do have other states beginning to reach out to ask for and also to reference the framework here in South Carolina. It has put us in a good position through which to support schools and districts so that as they're thinking about how are they making sure that all students are achieving the profile of the South Carolina graduate and making strides towards that we have a common language, a common framework, and a common place from which to approach that work. And so the framework has been very helpful. As you know, our office is new. We have been in existence since July 2017. And in that short period of time, I have just a quick visual for you to illustrate that. When we started last year, we had a lighter touch, as you can see. The counties or the districts in yellow are districts with whom we have inquiry labs happening, or they've got folks participating in webinars with us. Our staff is going to them and incorporating work in their district. The counties or the districts in blue are participating in multiple levels of support. So they actually have teams that are coming and working together in a cohort model, a blended approach to where there are some face-to-face meetings spread out throughout the year with virtual support in between for those school teams so that that work around, again, this framework for personalized learning is happening for a team at the school or the district and really having a chance to network across the schools and across districts in the state. The red dots represent where districts have instructional coaches or curriculum facilitators that are coming and participating again in professional learning. And so we know that they may have different titles in districts as an instructional coach or a curriculum coordinator, but the folks who support teachers, we want to make sure that they are getting support as well. And so we've layered in that additional piece of professional development. As you can see, we have expanded our reach in the state in 1 year pretty significantly, but our goal is to be in all districts. And so that is where we are moving and where we are working towards. And so we do anticipate being able to make that goal well ahead of the 2022 kind of guideline that we've set for ourselves. So we do anticipate that. One of the things that we've also layered in as we've built this capacity, folks ask, this is a great framework. We love the professional development. As a matter of fact, we had to expand what we were doing. But what does that look like? Who's doing this in South Carolina and what does that look like? And that's a question we're getting a lot. And so we created something called Inquiry Labs. And these Inquiry Labs are an opportunity for schools who are implementing the personalized learning framework to take one area of focus, open their doors, educators, community members, business leaders. We've had a lot of different folks to sign up for them. We look at whatever that practice is, that one specific practice. We hear about that school's journey. We visit some classrooms, and then we debrief with a teacher and a student panel so that we're hearing directly from the students how these practices are changing their experience in school, and also for the educators talk a little bit more about that journey and dig a little deeper. And so both for the folks who have visited Inquiry Labs as well as schools who have hosted Inquiry Labs, we are finding that it's a great opportunity to share the stories of what is working and what's happening in South Carolina, for folks not to have to reinvent the wheel, for them to make partnerships and networks and then have a place where they can go back to and say, can you tell me a little bit more about this? Now I have this connection here. And what we hear most is they walk away being able to implement something immediately. They've seen a practice, they've heard an idea, they've seen themselves in that context and being able to walk away and do something in their own school. And so we feel like that's a very powerful practice that is spreading the types of things that we want to continue to see in South Carolina. And then finally, the last thing that we talked about in our committee is our office has been working diligently, again, with the profile of the South Carolina graduate. One of the things we continue to ask is, how do we know we're achieving it? And what does it look like? And so this year we have 18 schools who are using the prototype competencies for the profile of the South Carolina graduate. These competencies have been created with a wide variety of stakeholders. We actually started with a small group of about 60 in October of 2017 and continued to ask the question, who else do we need to bring this information to? Who else should we hear from? Who else should we get input from? We've spent lots and lots of time going out across the state, sometimes virtually, sometimes in person. And to date, we have had over 900 people give feedback and input into the competencies. And so they're in a prototype form. 18 schools are implementing them. We're working with those teachers in those schools to develop further resources and make sure that these are usable tools. And so one of the things that we like most about the competencies is it's really giving us a chance to see what do the skills and the characteristics actually look like in practice. These are built out as a continua, which means that they come as a set of usable tools that you can see build over time. So you can begin to ask that question, what does it look like to be leading teams, and which parts of the profile does that immediately map back towards? And so those are happening now. We'll be doing an additional input cycle, a formal meeting and input cycle for additional input on the competencies in late April, and so we'll make sure that you have those dates in case anybody would like to attend or get more information. And I believe in the information that you were given, you've got a link to the competencies, so if you wanted to delve in and see some of the resources that teachers are actually using with those competencies and see the actual continua, you've got that information. And so we are happy to share that, but really excited about the work happening in our schools and being shared across networks. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. We have, now we'll hear from Innovation and Finance, and Chair recognizes Mr. Bootson.
How are you? We missed you this morning.
Yes, I
had
had
another
to
thing.
chair another committee.
I
I'm sorry, Mr.
understand. I understand.
Bootson. We'll be back together soon.
Well, we had a meeting despite what it says on the agenda. We had a wonderful presentation about students at the center, how South Carolina Framework for Personalized Learning and Competencies for the Profile of a South Carolina Student. You want to do this again? It was the same presentation that you all just heard, although we got to ask more questions and all, but it's good stuff. The other thing that happened in the meeting is we got our monthly financial report. Nancy assures me that we won't run out of money, but I just wanted to put the board on alert for a call that maybe some Saturday we might have to go pick up cans on the side of the road or something. So just don't be surprised when that happens. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bootson. We'll have our gloves ready just in case. We'll now hear from ELC, and the chair recognizes Mr. Brennan.
Madam Chair, the licensure committee met this morning. We had 12 cases, 3 public reprimands, and the rest were suspensions. Most of them ordered suspensions or consent suspensions, and there was 1 voluntary suspension. And the full board ratified that at your full board licensure committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. We now have items that we've placed on the consent agenda. The consent agenda has been handed out. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Do we have?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will now have our South Carolina Board report, and for information, coming to our front, one of my favorite people, Dr. LaToya Dixon.
Gotta stop saying that, the pressure's on. Good afternoon. As Superintendent Spearman shared, we were happy to host Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos of Florence School District 4. I want to tell you a little bit about some other things we saw while we were there. Florence School District 4 is one of the first school districts to offer the iFly remote drone pilot certification program. We got to meet student Brian McFadden, who led a demonstration for us, which landed him an internship with Congressman Tom Rice's office after his first freshman year in college. Those students will take the scheduled certification exam in May. We also highlighted the success of our shared service agreement with Florence School District 1 and School District 2. The visit culminated with an article that's been featured in Ed Week, our state newspaper, as well as the Washington Post, in which the Secretary applauded South Carolina's school improvement efforts. Teachers at Brockington Elementary are continuing to work with their instructional focus meetings. Right now, the focus is around scoring writing benchmarks and using that data to drive their writing instruction. Special education teachers are continuing their professional development in a training system called System 44, which is a foundational reading and phonics intervention program designed for struggling readers. Our middle and high school students completed their benchmark assessments in the 4 core academic areas during the last week of January. Our teachers are using that data and those results to reteach concepts where student mastery was not achieved, and spring map testing is scheduled to begin next week on Monday, March 18th. We'll be using those results to progress monitor student achievement. Last thing I want to share about Florence 4 is a little bit of information about their grades 3 through 8 Girls University program. Girls University is a program that strives to expand student opportunities with exposure to college and STEM careers and industry. These students have had the opportunity to participate in robotics and computer programming, which led to their field experience at the Microsoft store in Charlotte, North Carolina. During the field experience, students participated in a STEAM competition in which they had to do a drawing using Microsoft Surface tablets. As a result, 10 students were recognized and awarded with a $100 gift card to Microsoft. Microsoft will present those awards to the students on March 26th. We continue to be very proud of the work that has happened in Florence School District 4.
Madam Chair, before Dr. Dixon goes on, I just again have to, I wish you all could have been with us when we toured the school a couple weeks ago with the secretary. The students were the best part, and to see, there were 2 young men who were our ambassadors who guided the secretary through the school. They were high school students, and they were remarkable. She asked them, how did they like their school versus the way it was and how it is now. And to hear them talk about, I feel like I have more hope. We get more opportunities. It was just wonderful. And at the end of the meeting, and I hope I haven't already told you this, but at the end of the meeting, this really fine-looking young man with white shirt, necktie came up, and he said, "Miss Spearman, you remember me?" And I thought I did. I said, "I think I do." And he said, "Yes, ma'am, it's me." And he said, "Remember me telling you about the young man who was kind of downtrodden? And when I said last May when we declared the emergency, I met with some students, what can we do to help you make your school better? I want to be a welder, and they won't let us go to the Career Center." That was him. And we've got a picture. I should have had it on the screen for you. Big old smile. I didn't recognize him because he looked so happy. Is really the difference. Because he was downtrodden. He was beaming, and he's in welding. He loves it. He's found his life's profession, he thinks. Probably has a job lined up for him right there at Honda. But to see that, and then another young man came up who's in a mechanics course now, and he was smiling from ear to ear. But I don't think y'all realize, unless you see those students, you don't realize the impact that this decision has made for them. And it's just a fantastic thing to see the change in that community and in that school. And there were community folks there who met with the secretary and were just amazed. They didn't realize how much things had changed. So hats off to Dr. Dixon and her staff, but it was a great day.
I like to tell people I'm one of the few folks from the department who enters a school and receives hugs. Moving right along to Allendale. Allendale County Schools held their monthly community meeting on February 25th. We had about 200 folks in attendance, parents, students, community members, and partners, community partners. Students were recognized across the district who earned their Automotive Service of Excellence entry-level certification at that community meeting. And we also recognized Dr. Gilmore has started a District Employees of the Month. So for each department, buses, transportation, food service, technology, custodial services, and teachers, she recognized an Employee of the Month at that meeting. The Allendale School District has a team participating in our department multi-tiered system of supports professional development, and the team is learning how to use a strong system of supports to improve student outcomes. I have to tell you that I have conversed with several other directors here in the department, and I continue to receive accolades about Allendale and how invested and engaged their teams are around the professional development that we're doing. The school district has held data review meetings at all levels, elementary, middle, and high school. They're reviewing data related to attendance, benchmark results, academic data to progress monitor student performance and plan for continued improvement. All three schools have also conducted mid-year parent-teacher conferences to update parents on student progress. And I cannot commend Dr. Margaret Gilmore enough for the work she's done to engage the community there and the attendance we have at community meetings. It's just phenomenal, again, as you said, to see that and to have been a part of that. That concludes my information on Allendale. And moving on to Williamsburg, Dr. Rose Wilder is proud that the district has been officially released from fiscal caution. And additionally, their risk status has moved from last year it was high, it is now low. Kudos to Dr. Wilder for making solid and courageous decisions to get the district into order. They're continuing their focus on recruitment and retention. They'll be sending a team to Sarah's Teacher Expo on March 29th. And Dr. Wilder, as you might remember when we went in to take over, one of the key issues was special education. She's really invested in cleaning up the special education department and improving the services and professional development there in that area. The district school psychologist and the special education director attended the National Association of School Psychologists Conference. And the special education teachers and IEP coordinators attended the South Carolina Council for Exceptional Children's Conference February 28th, and the district was informed that it's on track to meet its maintenance of requirement effort under IDEA. All good progress. At the conclusion of the school year, we do need to inform you that D.P. Cooper Elementary School will close. The facility has surpassed its life expectancy, obviously would be cost prohibitive to renovate. The 140 students attending D.P. Cooper will have a choice in selecting the elementary school they'd like to attend for the 2019-2020 school year. Dr. Wilder has already began her community meetings regarding this, had her first one last night, is meeting with staff and students today. We do expect to be able to place those staff in positions throughout the school district and needed to make you aware of that particular change. Lastly, I want to share that Dr. Rose Wilder has been selected to receive the 2019 Kingdom Honors Award. This award recognizes outstanding achievements in the field of service to business, community, and ministry. J. Travoy McCullough, event coordinator, stated that Dr. Wilder's leadership in Williamsburg County is amazing. The culture that exists in the district now is one that is caring for the students and staff members. The ceremony for the second annual Kingdom Honors Award will be held at Asbury United Methodist Church in Andrews, South Carolina on Saturday, April 27, 2019 at 7:00 p.m. And Dr. Wilder informed me yesterday that it is a red carpet affair. So without further ado, if you don't have any questions, or if you have questions, I'm happy to take them at this time.
Okay, hearing and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Dixon. Always good to hear good news. Before Well, is there any other business that needs to come before this committee?
Madam,
Yeah.
please, Superintendent.
Madam Chair, I did want to just bring this to your attention. In the Senate on the Comprehensive Education Reform Bill, we asked for this on the House side. It did not get in the bill. We hope it will be amended on the Senate side. Part of the Education Accountability Act that gives us the authority to do this work in our low-performing districts is silent when it comes to what happens when we are there. We get the district back in shape, as you hear. We're making a lot of progress, so at some point we need to get out of there. Currently, since the law is silent, the district would go back to the operations of the board, the elected board that was in place when we took over management. I believe that is wrong. I believe that the law needs to be amended, and we have sent an amendment asking that an appointed board would be put into place, appointments by the governor, superintendent of education, and the local delegation for a period. There would be 5-member appointed board that would be in place, and at the close of 3 years, if there is progress made and not going in the wrong direction, then an election would be held for the first member to return back to elected and proceed on through the next 3 to 10 years to where it comes back to a fully elected board. So I share that with you for your opinions on it. If you support that, I would appreciate your support in the legislature on the Senate side to get that into the bill. If not, we can have a discussion, but I think this is critical. We've put an awful lot of time and effort, money, and human capital into the improvement in these districts, and I really believe that it would be a mistake to go back to the same folks managing there. So that's something that I'm going to be watching very closely and working on, and I hope you'll take an interest in that over the next week or so as the Senate debates.
Superintendent Spearman, did you say it's a part of it already, or you're trying to?
It's not a part, but we have sent an amendment over and hope that the Senate will adopt it and put it into the bill.
Molly,
Mr. Brennan.
did the House give a reason for not including it?
No, it didn't appear that there was really opposition, but they were on a pretty fast discussion calendar timetable and just said take it to the Senate.
Well,
So,
hopefully the deliberative body will.
That's right. I hope so.
Consider it.
Yeah,
Can you send us a copy of that?
I'll be glad to. Yes, sir.
And anything else that?
Okay, we'll send you the amendments that we've got
Okay.
that we sent to the Senate. Thank you for asking. We'll get that to you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
just 2 things. Yesterday was the Transform SC's 6th annual conference at the Columbia Metropolitan Center. There were roughly 300 educators primarily at that. The focus yesterday was on project-based learning, and I think there was a session on personalized learning because Ms. DeStasio was there. And again, I think another success. That work continues. Again, it's in its 6th year, lots more years to go, but I think they're making excellent progress, particularly in cooperation with the State Department of Education and the district. So we're very proud of that. Second thing is the superintendent had the opportunity yesterday afternoon to meet with the CEOs of the leading companies in South Carolina to discuss the comprehensive education bill and anything else that they wanted to talk about. And Molly, you were very well received with that group. I had a couple of them say, "We got a rock star as a superintendent." I mean, that's literally what they said. They said to me. So thank you for doing that, and I know the business CEOs appreciated it.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. Any other?
Madam Chair, a couple of things.
Yes,
I
sir.
apologize for my tardiness. Could someone update me on the waiver request from Bishop England? I was hoping I would catch that.
Can we do it
State-
afterwards?
You
Can I
do
do
it
it
afterwards?
afterwards?
Okay, yeah, you can do it afterwards. But let me say this publicly, that I noticed that we continue to have multiple school districts to request online testing waivers. And I think the department and the state board needs to be aware, there is a sentiment among district leadership that assessment scores are suffering as a result of the challenges with technology and students really not being able to manipulate the technology effectively, and we end up assessing their ability to manipulate the technology. Now, the legislator said that everyone should be moving to an online testing environment and really encouraged us to stay the course in hopes that would get better. I'll tell you as a superintendent, I have even second-guessed my decision to stay the course, even as some of my colleagues have said. As I look at the data, we saw a marked improvement between paper testing and online testing. But that's something to be aware of as it relates to why we're seeing an increase in requests for online testing waivers. And as I said, I'm second-guessing my decision not to submit a request, quite honestly. But I'm doing it, under with the sentiment that eventually everyone is going to be required to do it, and we'll need to make the transition eventually.
Thank you.
For the good of my knowledge and everyone else, so I think, have we ever denied a request? I think if the district asks, and we've recommended that, if a district asks, the board has been generous in giving those waivers, but I too have concerns about it. And it's hard to prove that it's affecting our scores, but I think, again, you just kind of use common sense that it can be more difficult for students to, because it is testing their ability to maneuver through the technology. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, Dr. Boots, Mr. Bootson.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
It's the only way I'll have one. It is a skill that as we look at the profile of the South Carolina graduate and we think about world-class education and that kind of thing, these youngsters are going to grow up and they're going to have jobs where they need to be able to manipulate the technology.
Right.
And although I'm sure that wasn't front and center in the thinking of the legislature when they decreed that we would do this, I think it bears some thought as a secondary goal and a clever way to encourage and promote the notion of all of our youngsters becoming really capable with the technology. That having said, I spent the weekend with my 6-year-old and 4-year-old granddaughter, and they are so far beyond me when it comes to making a cell phone and a laptop sing and dance, and I think they can figure out how to make it wash windows and do iron and all kinds of stuff. So I'm not really sure how much more they need to know, but every opportunity that we have to support that, I think is a good idea.
Well, and just for clarification, Mr. Boutsan, not that kids aren't adept at manipulating technology, but when you ask a third grade kid to write a paper on a Chromebook, that's a lot different than giving a pencil on a piece of paper.
I got
it. If you ask them to read a 2-page passage on a Chromebook, that's a lot different than having a piece of paper that you can flip back and forth and make notes on. So it's not that you aren't aware of technology or adept at manipulating it, just not in that context. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When they show up over at Mr. Boeing's airplane factory down in North Charleston, that's what they're going to be asked to do, to do their writing on a Chromebook and do their reading on a Chromebook, and it's going to be their work assignment's going to be delivered to them that way every day. It's coming.
Just not in third grade.
Right, not in third grade.
Yes, I've got a problem that eventually, but if you're really trying to test a third grade's literacy development, let's test literacy development. If you want to test a third grader's ability to write a passage, let's test ability to write. I agree with you wholeheartedly. By the time they graduate, I want them to have those skills. But you're talking about third or fourth grade or fifth grade kid, I would just question the logic there.
There was a lady whose last name was Camp, who was my 5th grade teacher, who made a promise to my mother on the first day of the 5th grade, because she had talked to my 4th grade teacher, that that horrible construction that passed for penmanship at the hands of John Boutson was going to change significantly by the end of the 5th grade. And she delivered on that. the other thing that she said to my mother is, if we'd only started with him sooner. So didn't have to wait till the 5th grade to get a pencil in my hand and start doing that. And I just use that as sort of a way to say, I hear you, it's hard. I don't think we can start too soon with the 3rd grader. Anyway.
Thank you, board members, for sharing, and I'm sure that's an issue as far as waivers and testing that we'll be addressing for a while. But at this time, I would like to recognize a new member of our team. She's been recruited heavily. She says they have a great jump shot. No, I'm just kidding. But we'd like to recognize a new board member, Dr. Christy Woodall, and thank you for being here. If you will just let everybody see where you are. I think this is her first full board meeting. She's been here as a visitor, but this is her first time in the seat. Yes, any other business to come before the board? If not, we remind all board members to please turn in your travel vouchers before leaving to Noel. And if there's no other business to come before this board, then we do stand adjourned. You all be safe.